One civilization gave the world Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Tchaikovsky, Stravinsky, and Tarkovsky. Its writers filled over 200 pages with fevered drawings in the margins, searching for a single true sentence. Its composers rewrote the language of emotion. Its dancers shattered what a human body could express. No other culture has pursued the deepest questions of the soul with such relentless intensity. And that story begins at a quiet desk before dawn. Before sunrise, in the heart of the Russian countryside, Leo Tolstoy would rise in near silence. At Yasnaya Polyana, his estate framed by birch trees and the steady flow of the Voronka River, each day began with a ritual of discipline. Tolstoy's own diaries and the household ledgers kept by Sofia Tolstaya record his unwavering schedule: 5 hours at his desk every morning from 9 until 2. The surface of that desk, surrounded by the quiet weight of a 24,000-volume library, became a stage for the struggle between thought and truth. Each page of manuscript bore the marks of revision, underlined passages, entire paragraphs struck through, lines rewritten in a hand that pressed hard enough to leave an imprint on the next sheet. In Tolstoy's world, moral clarity demanded repetition and order. The landscape outside, with the trembling leaves and the hush before dawn, entered the prose, shaping the rhythm of each sentence. In a cramped Petersburg study, Fyodor Dostoevsky worked by candlelight, his hours less measured, his mind restless. The desk at the Dostoevsky Literary Memorial Museum holds the evidence, more than 200 pages dense with marginal notes, feverish sketches, and looping calligrams. Manuscript after manuscript, Dostoevsky filled the edges with Gothic arches, faces, question marks, and lines underlined with trembling urgency. He circled words like sin and forgiveness, posed questions in the margins, each annotation a visible trace of his inner debate. Where Tolstoy's order sought to tame the soul, Dostoevsky's margins reveal a writer wrestling with chaos, faith, and doubt, searching for the line that would bear the weight of conscience. In the interplay of these two hands, the steady and the storming, Russian literature found its ethical imagination, shaped not only by what was written, but by the marks left behind in the struggle to write. Pushkin's handwriting, alive with crossings out and sudden insertions, holds the immediacy of a voice searching for its own rhythm. In the folios of Eugene Onegin, each stanza is a living conversation between impulse and revision. The ink is restless, lines are struck through, single words rewritten, a phrase shifted by a single stroke. The poet's corrections, captured in 600 dots per inch scans at the Pushkin State Museum, reveal a lyric mind shaping itself in real time. Margins fill with alternate rhymes, as if the poem rehearses itself for a future ear, already anticipating the cadence of spoken Russian. Pushkin's manuscript is not a monument, but a rehearsal, an ongoing negotiation between silence and sound, between the solitude of the desk and the possibility of performance. Anton Chekhov, decades later, approached the stage with a similar sense of anticipation. In his prompt books for The Seagull, preserved on vellum sheets from the early 1900s, the play's movement is mapped as a series of gestures and pauses. Each diagram marks the actor's paths across the boards, the precise placement of a chair, the timing of a glance. These grids do not constrain the actors, they invite subtlety, granting space for the smallest inflection to carry meaning. Chekhov's stage is a field of possibility, where drama emerges not from grand declarations, but from the tension of what is left unsaid, the choreography of hesitation and hope. Across both page and stage, Russian literature leans toward the audible, the visible, the embodied. The lyric voice and the psychological gesture are never far from performance. Revision is not erasure, but preparation, a rehearsal for the moment when text becomes breath and ink becomes movement. A bassoon strains upward, its voice stretched to the edge of possibility, the opening of Stravinsky's Rite of Spring in 1913. The sound lingers, ancient yet startling, a question in the air before the orchestra erupts. Stravinsky's handwritten score reveals urgent pencil marks, meter changes, broken bars, rhythmic diagrams that fracture and rebuild the pulse. Each accent lands like a jolt, rhythm carved from silence, the music's heartbeat shifting beneath the surface. Tchaikovsky's late symphonies, by contrast, are built from longing. His scores, annotated in a slanting script, layer strings and counter melodies that rise and fall, always searching, never quite resolving. The conductor's baton hovers, then draws out a phrase, violins lifting, cellos anchoring the ache. Longing becomes structure, motif, and memory woven into every crescendo, each swell heavy with what remains unsaid. Rachmaninoff's 1935 symphonic dances bear the marks of exile. His manuscript is crowded with circled motifs and minor key themes echoing Russian chants, fragments shaped and reshaped by homesickness. In rehearsal photos, his hands press the keys with quiet intensity, drawing out harmonies that remember lost landscapes. From the solitary bassoon to the full surge of orchestral tutti, Russian music turns inner questions into sound. Annotated scores, broken meters, conductors' hands all testify to a tradition where feeling becomes form and memory finds its voice. A poster hangs in a Paris corridor, an explosion of color, the letters ballets, Russes, twisting above a stylized figure mid-leap. In 1913, Sergei Diaghilev's company did not whisper its intentions. The ballet's Russes collided disciplines, music, dance, painting, even typography, all fused in a single electric gesture. Rehearsal rooms became laboratories. Vaslav Nijinsky, the dancer-choreographer, stalked the slanted Vaganova floors, drilling bodies into new geometries. His notebook, dense with arrows and stick figures, mapped out the impossible movement that broke the line, shattered symmetry, and risked collapse for the sake of meaning. The score for The Rite of Spring, covered in Stravinsky's jagged pencil marks, pulsed from the piano. Dancers counted out strange fives and sevens, their feet pounding Vaganova's patterned floor, each square a memory of centuries-old pedagogy, now repurposed for a modern ritual. Diaghilev prowled the edge, urging on the painters, Bakst and Goncharova, whose lithographs became posters, whose costumes turned the stage into a living canvas. Rehearsal notations and lineage charts, pinned to the walls, tracked the transmission from teacher to dancer, from tradition to rupture. On the night of the premiere, the orchestra barely outlasted the riot. Chairs flew, shouts drowned the music. Nijinsky stood on a chair backstage, shouting counts to the dancers as they hurled themselves into the storm. The risk was not only artistic, it was physical, communal, a leap into the unknown. In that moment, the Russian body became a new language, sound made visible, tradition remade through risk, the future inscribed in sweat and breath. A linden panel, sanded and layered with gesso, takes its first pigment, cinnabar red for robes, azurite blue for sky. Icon painters grind minerals, mix yolk, press gold leaf into halos that shimmer at dawn. Each recipe, passed down for centuries, fuses earth and spirit. The icons, silent along church walls, are more than images. They're thresholds between seen and unseen. In 1915, Kazimir Malevich enters this lineage. At the 0.10 exhibition in Petrograd, he hangs his black square in the icon's sacred corner. His letters describe searching for the zero of form, a surface matte, absolute daring faith to find meaning in absence. The black square, layered by hand, is a radical inquiry rooted in tradition. On Kichi Island, carpenters fit larch logs with dovetail joints, no nails, only trust in wood and hand. The constructivists echo this rigor, building with glass and steel. Tradition transforms, but the spiritual question endures. In Tula's workshops, the hammer's ring and the hiss of steam mark each samovar shaped by hand, every brass vessel stamped by both master and guild. Ledgers from 1872 list 9,000 samovars, each one pressed and braised with the care of a craftsman's palm. At the table, the samovar is more than metal. It is the center of gathering, tea poured over embroidered cloths heavy with firebird and tree of life. Each stitch, drawn from linen, carries hope and memory, its patterns echoing montage's rhythm. Eisenstein's 1925 Odessa step sequence, 47 shots in 90 seconds, cuts images like a needle through fabric, boots, faces, a mother's gaze, each frame a plea. Montage, like embroidery, binds fragments into meaning. Stanislavski's 1906 diaries urge actors to think and feel before moving, hands trembling with real thought. Tarkovsky lingers on steam and a child's hand, letting detail reveal the soul. Across these arts, craft lives in the hand and heart. Today, Russian culture endures as a living testament to the power of the human soul to seek meaning, beauty, and truth. Its artists still ask the questions that matter. In every note, line, or gesture, A universal longing pulses, reminding us that art remains our deepest form of connection.